Spiby.
Fantastic.
Welcome to Noise11.com once again with a bit of history today, Michael, because, well, happy anniversary, firstly, for the, what is it, 30th anniversary of the first album? Is that where we're up to?
Almost there, almost there. It's a long run up to it, but man, that's been a long time. Thank you, thank you.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? Something that, I guess you would have been in your 20s when you were putting Get On Board together. And here it is 30 years later, and it's still the ticket to pay the rent, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is, and it's you never imagine having to go out promoting such an event either. Normally, when you're making that album, it's just for the time that you're in. So the fact that it still hangs around is a bit of a bonus. It's a lovely feeling to be still playing.
Yeah, well, we should
So,
thank 20-year-old Michael Spiby for keeping today's Michael Spiby in business.
yeah, he's very responsible, wasn't he? Very generous chap. That one.
This album, I mean, a debut album is always an interesting album because, when I talk to a lot of artists, they talk about how, they've had a lifetime to write the songs for the first album. Was it like that with Get On Board? Were these all songs that took a few years to construct and then came together as one album?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I was writing perhaps 10 years prior to that album. So when I think of it, there were a hell of a lot of songs, in process, if not completed, at that stage. And as you say correctly, it's second album and thereafter, you're just writing like crazy in a couple of weeks. I think our second album I think I had 6 weeks to write it. As opposed to 10 years prior for the first one. So that's exactly right. But then again, for a second album, you're much better armed, hopefully, with your writing by that stage. You got the process honed a little bit more, perhaps.
So let's go through the original tracks that are on the album. It opens with one of yours, Memphis. Had you been to Memphis when you wrote Memphis?
No, never been out of Preston. No, it was that really was, and I think this is prevalent throughout writing, probably the same for a lot of other writers. You don't, where you can't actually physically go, you just imagine yourself there, and it's generally it's a better experience anyway. Certainly less expensive. Just imagine where you're going. That's where you are. So I think in fact, from what people who have gone to Memphis always tell me that it's the idea of it's perhaps better than the actual state that the city's in at the moment.
Just want to go through the tracks that are on this record, just to talk about the 30th anniversary. Green Limousine is a song that became, I guess, a signature song for the Badloves.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise one, because even at the studio stage, I remember the reaction from the record label about that song. Once they heard it recorded, we were really excited about it. It took us maybe 10 hours to get that track to feel. Label came in and heard it, and we were thinking, yeah, this is great, they're going to love it. They went, oh, well, you've sort of lost that song. No, don't worry about it, there's other songs, and we went, what do you mean? This is what we want to sound like. And foolishly, they'd given us a little bit too much rope. I think they'd probably thought that too at that time when they heard the song, because we said, no, this is exactly what we're after. It took us a long time to get it. And they said, look, don't worry about it, probably won't make the cut, sadly, but there you do have other songs. So, that's okay. Don't worry about it.
There were 2 songs on here you didn't write, Tell Me and I Remember. So how did the songwriting work? Did you have a stack of songs? Some of the other guys had some songs, and how did it all come together?
Because when the band kicked off, I'd been an established songwriter for quite a while. So and the other boys were just beginning; they were just dabbling. Hence, me being a bit of a dictator about things, because prior to the band actually forming, I was writing for a project, you know, for the Badloves, because I wanted something that had a certain feel or didn't represent the 80s trends and things like that. So the boys had just started writing when we were recording, you know. But both of those are ripper songs, and Irish's song "Tell Me" was so Irish. It represented him perfectly. You know, it had all that energy and the confessional sort of nature of it. So I love the fact that was him. I can hear in that song his personality. You know, great feeling song live as well.
High on a Mountain and What's on Your Mind, the two next tracks, are lesser known tracks from this album. Are these songs that were ever a major part of the Bad Love set list?
High on a Mountain wasn't. In fact, I think we've only played it a handful of times. And when we've attempted it, it feels like just some song from some other band, which is really bizarre. I guess that happens. Not all your kids, you know, you can sell some. That's what I'm trying to say. Not for body parts, but, you know, all your children probably aren't equal. I'm getting into hot water now. I'm going to try and back out of that one. But What's on Your Mind was we played that every gig, I think.
The track "Lost" that was a big single for you, and you know that one is still very much part of the set list today.
Yeah, that's kind of cemented its place in the set list. That one, can't escape it. And a bizarre song, in no way like the others. And as you start to reel off these songs, I'm realizing that they're how different they are. They don't. I guess one of the ideas with the album and with the band generally was that we would pursue songs first and foremost before the style itself. But Lost, when we started playing that in the rehearsal room, nobody, like, it took a long time to get our teeth into that one. And so there was always this awkward thing where I realized I probably outstretched the perception of what we thought we were as a band with a new song, just because I'm not very good at focusing in on a style, I guess. But it took a long time to get. But once we got it in the studio, unlike Green Limousine, it went down really quickly and was quite an easy catch. But learning it, man, oh man, that was tricky. It was a very tricky song.
Now, we take a bit of a detour now, because on the 2021 version of the album is a song that wasn't on the original album. It was on a Jimmy Barnes album. We're talking about the cover of the band, The Weight.
I think perhaps the thing that made The Weight different, that it was done by a producer. We had a producer, Jimmy's producer. So sonically, it couldn't sit in the middle of the album, because it didn't sound like the stuff that we'd produced ourselves. It sounded totally different when you play them together. So it had to come, really, it didn't have any other option. Whether that was the deciding factor at the time, I'm not quite sure, but that's certainly, with my producer's hat on, that's how it sounds to me. It's a totally different, musically it fit, but sonically totally different.
Next one was Sugar Daddy.
What I remember most about Sugar Daddy, we're situated in Studio One in Metropolis, in South Melbourne. And I remember we needed the size of that beautiful big room to spread ourselves out, because we were slamming. It was a full-on dynamic to the song. And one of my most vivid memories was getting Chris Wilson in, the fabulous Chris Wilson, who was a huge influence on the band, just in his personality and everything else. And so he when he was in there, we knew we had to be on our best behavior. We had to play well. We knew Chris was going to play on it. So there was a lot invested emotionally, professionally almost, because he didn't suffer fools, which is one of his great traits. And he was just such a total monster of a player. So we were just in awe of him. And Chris is coming in to play on one of our tracks. So we were on our best in terms of playing wise and stuff like that. We really dug in. Not that we didn't for the other tracks, but that one in particular. And his stamp is all over that track. He's singing and his harp playing, which to this day he still blows me away. Listening to him play, incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, the final two tracks on the album, Yesterday's Gone and Spirit in the Sky. I guess when you go in the studio and you're recording the album, you're recording 10 songs. You're aware of the ones that are going to be the singles and the ones that are going to fill the body of the album? Or do all the songs feel equal at the time that you're putting them together?
Some of them fight to survive, and you realise during the process that ones that you thought maybe personally were going to sit up fall by the wayside a bit, and until a third party comes in. I guess that's why people have producers. A third party comes in and goes, "Wow, listen to that track," and you go, "Yeah, sad about that." A bit like the Mushroom people thought Green Limousine was a total dog. You know, you need a third party opinion to get some sort of consensus on what's going on. We all had different songs we thought would sit up. I can't even remember what I thought was going to be good, but what comes out in the wash certainly decides. You know, a couple of days or weeks out from the studio sessions, you know which ones are sitting up, which ones aren't. You get a gut feeling, but it's not always accurate. You know, tied up with emotions vested in your own writing and all that kind of thing. It gets very cloudy in there.
Yeah, well, we've had two of the new songs so far. How far down the track are we with that new Badloves album?
Yeah, well, we've got COVID really put us back there in terms of tracking, but we've got a lot of that's done, and it's just a matter of now we're recording between whoever's rental house has got the best room. So we go over to Jeff the drummer's place, and we all set up in his space, and we record in there, and then we bring that home and like everybody else does, and add and subtract to it, but the main guts of it is always done with bass and drums and a few instruments in the room together. So we're doing it domestically at the moment.
Michael Spiby, again, happy anniversary for Get On Board, 30th anniversary. The Badloves out on tour. Catch 'em.
Paul Cashmere, thank you, sir. Always a pleasure.